Welcome everybody. This is the British Interplanetary Society, the West Midlands branch. It's good to see you all here today. In a few minutes, we'll be hearing from our speaker today, Valentín. Valentín is 50 kilometers outside Barcelona on the Mediterranean coast. So we're really pleased to he could actually join us today and share his thoughts. To start though, I'm going to hand over to my colleague Mark. Mark will also be doing the managing the rest of today because I need to disappear off, unfortunately. Mark, you're already sharing your screen. Over to you, my friend. You need to unmute, by the way.
Good afternoon, everybody. So bear with me a bit. So Bob's the expert in this, so you might find that this is a little more clunky, and there might be a bit more head scratching than normal, but I shall do my best. So welcome. Let's get started. So as we've already established, you're all here to hear Valentín talk about the necessity for space migration, and it'll be about an hour's talk, I understand, and then we'll take questions as usual at the end. So West Midlands announcements. I'm told that headquarters are bringing out a new version of the newsletter. They're launching that shortly, and all the branches have been asked to contribute to that. So please do look out for that. And if there's also been some changes in how we're allowed to run branches, which will come out in due course. It'll be probably announced in the newsletter. So you'll see that coming. So if you would like to help out with the running of the West Midlands branch or any of the other branches, if you're interested, do contact the branches or contact headquarters and they'll pass you on to us. So our next event is in June. Emily Creedy will be talking about laser ignition of hybrid rocket motors. After that, we have Christopher McLeod on the Aspire hypersonic engine. Then after that, I'm still waiting for details of the speaker for the Taiwan Space Agency talk and a final date. Hopefully we'll sort that out in the near future. And then for 2025, Brian Harvey, a good friend of the branch, has agreed to give us a talk on Iran and its space programs. So that should be a fascinating talk. At the moment, I've not managed to track down any other events from the other branches. I did ask, but everybody's a bit busy. So next headquarters event is the International Space Forum, and they're also running monthly online socials. So do keep an eye out for the socials if you can make them. Apparently they're very popular. So as ever, BIS membership, you get lots of nice things, videos, talks, all the excellent magazines. The monthly newsletter is there still, so it's at a great chance to interact with your friends and colleagues. So please do, if you're interested, join the British Interplanetary Society. We need you.
So I'm just jumping in just before Mark finishes off. I apologise, I forgot to say something earlier, which is really important. We're recording today's event, so you just need to know that in advance. So we're now recording. Sorry, Mark, back to you.
Well, yeah, thank you, Bob. I should have remembered as well, so sorry about that. And then a plea from headquarters, as usual. The editors of JBIS, the technical magazine for the Society, Space Chronicle, the historical magazine, and the general magazine Spaceflight are always looking for articles and material for the magazines. So if you think you can contribute, please do contact the editors or contact headquarters and they'll pass you through. They'll be very pleased to hear from you. And with that, I'm going to hand over to Valentín for our today's talk. So bear with me. This might go horribly wrong in a second from my end, not Valentín's.
First of all, before starting the presentation today, I want to thank the British Interplanetary Society for giving me this opportunity to explain about the space migration, and also my publisher, Elías, for its support. I'm an engineer specialized in automation, solar power, and also technical training. They are my main areas of expertise, and I want to explain how they integrate on space migration. Also, it's a bit more than 20 years since I investigate about future of technology and its integration on society. It's a really amazing subject to do. And my investigations have driven me to find out that space migration will be somewhat unavoidable for humankind to survive this century, and also somewhat doable. That's why the purpose of this presentation. Okay, the startup of this thought about space migration starts at the end of 20th century, when two main events that were communism falling down and the birth of the internet resulted in reshaping a completely new world. Okay, the order established since World War II ended, and another one started in the world. That is globalization. Okay, that is actually dominating economy, society, and everything. Okay, now the available market is the entire world. People for working is reachable everywhere. Drugs are reachable everywhere. We can see here that world population is exponentially growing, despite problems of increasing living costs, despite migration, despite other problems. At the beginning of human history, human population grew slightly more than dead people. But now we are winning illness, we are creating more ways to build products, to build food, water, etc. And population grows exponentially. But this also implies that that products that are consumed grow also exponentially. Since 1990, world people increased 30%, but the available and the produced products all around the world have multiplied by 4. Okay, this means that we are not taking care about what we are really spending, because the planet Earth is limited in resources. During the history, Earth planet has provided us air, water, resources, and everything, and we are continuing spending them as if they will never get exhausted.
Background.
Okay, this is how actually a graphic, an approximate graphic about how Earth resources are getting depleted. Okay, the exponential growing of population and what they consume in a limited system results in that the available resources of limited systems get depleted more or less the same way. 3% of Earth, 3% of water existing on Earth is consumable by human beings. The rest is sea salty water. We are acceleratedly depleting such kind of water. Also, climate change helps to salinate this water, and we are rampantly consuming it. Also, Earth minerals are every time more difficult to be obtained because one has to drill deeper and deeper to obtain it, increasing costs. And what will happen is that the tendency we are doing now is that world population will triple what is today in 2100 with no available resources. This is not a prediction. This is only an analysis of tendency. Okay, world population can be modified by a lot of facts, but certainly what we are targeting today by our way of consuming is this. Then, if we analyze how price of products behave, this is an approximate graphic of what will happen during 21st century. Okay. First of all, prices will increase. Okay, in an exponential growing of population, will increase until they are reachable for customers. If they continue to increase, they will not be reachable for enterprises, then for governments, and then impossible to control for this scarcity. Okay, here in time, we can place, for instance, in this point, we can place 2060 for iron, for instance. Here, it might be 2070. Here, it might be 2080 for iron, but you can place another material. For instance, here, it may be 2035 for gold, 2040, 2050. Here can be 2050 for water, and so on. Okay? Then the tendency of the time of consuming we are performing now is that we can foresee two main events. One is the rampant behavior of prices of goods and articles, that is this curve here. Okay? And then this kind of rampant behavior will result in this kind of degrading circle, okay, in which price of energy, price of water got escalating, cost of living escalates, people have less money to consume, then the aggressive commercial market is activated and escalating as well. Then air resources become aggressively exploited. Price continue escalating, climate change escalating, energy sources diminishing and escalating in price, and the circle gets reinforced and closed again. This makes that risk for disputes and confrontations quite increase for the future. Moreover than this, as the globalization uses the communications and the internet and AI, including as a vehicle to get expanded, okay, then the computing capability will also rampantly escalate. Okay, what happened is that AI will evolve to superintelligence. I mean, a user computer having the same computation capability as human brain. At the end, nearly at the end of the fourth decade of this century, even computers and superintelligence will get endowed with the capability of predicting, because connected sensors will have more accuracy than human and animal ones So machines will be able to sense and acquire sensing all around the environment surrounding them. Okay, they will be able to simulate the real world they sense and accelerate the behavior. So events can get advanced. Then all the above can be mounted on robots capable to fully operate in micro worlds. I mean, for instance, cell manipulation, single cell manipulation. And if this continues, the nano world, I mean that superintelligence will be capable to manipulate cell components. Also, if we add to this the comprehension of brain thought mechanisms, let's consider that in the latest decades, the computing capabilities have increased in 100 calculations more. Well, the capability of 2020 was 100 times the one of 2010. And this is the progression. But with the entry of quantum computing, this might increase, and a single computer in 2040, 2050 may have thousands and thousands of capabilities of an existing computer today. Okay? This means that once all brain mechanisms are understood, brain can be fabricated and replicated, and also brain-brain computers can be reachable. This is the known transhuman evolution, where superintelligence may join emotional intelligence of human beings. An evolution that has to be taken with quite care, and more desirable to be taken in a space community rather than on Earth. Then an aggressive market quite enhances the possibilities that AI or superintelligence replaces us as dominant species on Earth. This analysis shows us that the foresight about the future, or how we have to consume products, is an education globally needed all around the world. Otherwise, we will not be targeting such kind of explained future. Rational consuming and respect for the planet, recycling and water management, rate containing, futurism, future foresight, looking towards the future, future consciousness, ethical use and design of technology are subjects need to be widely implemented on education actually. And I would especially enhance future consciousness actually. I mean, being aware what we are targeting at with our today's actions. Will education be enough to revert this kind of tendency? Okay, education will be, I believe, a critical part of reverting this, but certainly not enough. Okay, a reorganization of worldwide food production to spend only what is recycled would close a lot of enterprises and generate a chaotic situation of unemployment. Okay, many countries follow education tendencies that enhance birth rate for a lot of time. Okay, and it's very difficult to revert if it's the case inertia that has lasted for centuries. Okay, we can also think in order to revert this tendency about deep sea migration. The forthcoming milestones in new materials can give us some kinds of graphene that have 300 times steel strength, probably room temperature superconductors, more advanced batteries, and super intelligent navigation that make possible that sea navigation drops down quite in cost, and then make the deep sea available for every time lower power acquisition pockets. Of course, new food resources for cultivating algae and growing fish and so will get opened. Also, the deep sea mining, so, but which will be the cost, the environmental cost of doing this? And also, for how long? How long for? It will take, how long deep sea migration would cover an exponential growing of human needs? Okay, then we stumble again with a limited area. Then we can think about space migration. We can think about space migration to provide us what we will need for our future. Okay. Then, actually, space industry, the major factor of putting cargoes from Earth to space is launch costs given by rocket. Okay. Also, certain people can only live a long time under zero gravity environment. Then this makes also too expensive thinking on space migration. But new materials, nanotechnology, okay, will bring us something having the capability to give us a dramatic reduction of launch costs and make space affordable for medium and even low power acquisition pockets. Current citizen will be able to visit it without needing a specific preparation because artificial gravity can be performed. And then a new huge business will be open. What will make possible this will be space elevator and joint operation of them as a galactic harbor joint operation. Here is the basic scheme of a galactic harbor provided by ISEC that I thank you now for supporting this presentation and also supporting my artwork. Then we have an Earth headquarters located on Earth, a climber that rises up to space. Here is the apex that counterweights and uses centrifugal force of Earth rotation to make the cable, the tether, tensile. Okay, the future, the close future already, will provide us a new material which we can build, we can do such kind of building. On the contrary of the materials we have used up until now. If you use steel, iron, stone to build a tower, it will break after maximum 4 kilometers because of the weight cannot be withstood by the bases. But with graphene, a cable of graphene you can build it as large as possible and the bases will never break. That will be the difference. And then the space trip will be almost the same as taking a trip with a high-speed train, let's say. Then many operations can be done along such cable. Operations that can be performed in geostationary orbit, placing satellites, and so. And also, from geo on, you can use the rest of the cable as a launch platform to launch the climber to space with a speed capable to reach the moon in 12 hours, capable to reach the near-Earth asteroids in few hours, 5-6 hours, and capable to reach Mars in 2 months' time, disregarding the relative orbit between them both, Earth and Mars. Also, the climber can be endowed, can be designed to provide rotation and then provide artificial gravity to space visitors. So the combination of low cost with artificial gravity opens a wide scope of space business. Okay. This kind of climber can be docked on geo and can be launched in another spacecraft frame to reach every planet or space community always under gravity. Here is galactic harbor and space elevator engineering is not unique. And here you have a system with cylinders that open and close to let the climber pass through. One can situate in geo solar arrays to provide electricity to the Earth. All these steady climbers and walking climbers can be docked among them and can host cultivations, can host industry, can host hotels, can host whatever activity you can imagine. Such capability will provide a great transformation on resources availability. Okay, near-Earth asteroids are cataloged as hundreds of thousands and rich in all kinds of materials. Lunar mining. Okay, job market can be well expanded with this. Overpopulation, when space stations and planetary communities grow, may be a solution for overpopulation. Okay, environmental benefits when you can drive solar power to the Earth with arrays located in geo, and also by using the helium coming from the moon. Okay. Also, technologies used for elevators have redundancy on solving current society problems because they enhance the efficient use of energy, the efficient use of robotics, and so on. Okay. Space elevator will provide a drastic diminishing of launch cost to the space in several orders than the ones provided by rockets. Okay, when you build an elevator, building a subsequent elevator will be cheaper because the elements to build it will be cheaper to be launched. And as long as we take profit of extraterrestrial materials to convert them into solar power and electricity, cost will continue lowering and lowering until the point that even taking profit of extraterrestrial materials will be cheaper than taking profit of Earth materials. When this happens, the migration of industry to space will be a reality because it will be cheaper to perform. Also, when the processes needed to transform space raw materials into gear, balls, nuts, etc., another industry can get open, that is the space replicator. Okay, and a space replicator can be understood as a factory that is able to make a replication of itself and also generate solar arrays, pieces for robots, pieces for the factory itself, and so on. And also construction materials for space communities. It is a top view of how to run, roads may run along the factory. Okay, the replication phases for the factory would start by the factory itself, and first of all generating the soil by using sintered regolith, then placing solar arrays and replicated workshops until the replication is ended, and so on, and getting expanded this way. The knowledge acquired from this process can be used also to replicate spacecraft. Okay, here is one example of flying spacecraft with 5 rotating communities. First of all, the frame could be built from extraterrestrial materials. Okay, first of all, the early electronics to replicate a factory or a spacecraft can come from the Earth until the space industry is established, and then from this time on, they can be obtained from space as well. Then the construction continues until it's finished, and finally it can get detached. This kind of replicators, okay, every community can be designed, every nation or every enterprise can design internally what they want. Here is an area for development, but can be a workshop, can be cultivations, can be whatever thing. Okay, and I have considered a 2-year replication time for a space replicator to deduce that approximately between 2080 2090, the population of the space replicator can be big enough to sustain entire humanity needs. From this time on, if replications continue, then scarcity is forever one. Okay. Here is a graphic about without space migration, prices on Earth will behave such a way and the transhuman transition will tend to approach to close dates, because how to say, an exponential evolution in an aggressive market of superintelligence would quite approach transhuman transition to be taken on Earth. Here is the case when we have 2040 operational elevators. From this time on, cargoes can be sent cheap to planetary settlements, the moon, and so on. This curve is the curve of how Earth resources behave. And this one is how space origin resources behave. There will be 1 year when both cross. From this time on, space industry will be more cost effective than the one on Earth. And also, the less aggressive the use of AI is, the more far away the transhuman transition will start. Here is an example of 2030 operational elevators. Okay, then the sooner that the early operational elevators take place, the lesser this peak of cost of products. Then this kind of foresight suggests that the future must be organized decade by decade. I mean, the solutions given in 2030 will be the basis for the solutions given in 2040, and so on and so on. We should organize our future. We should organize our education, our industry, and then orientate this to space migration to make all the possible that this peak is the lower the possible, to avoid discontinuities on industry, and then jobs, etc. How to achieve such kind of evolution? First of all, we need sufficient energy. With sufficient energy, we can do everything. Actually, the price of oil is 5 times the one of 40 years ago. Imagine how it can escalate, and if it continues being the basis of the economy, everything will suffer a rampant increase of price. We need to migrate to other sources of energy. Solar energy, pursuing total efficiency of the use of energy. Actually, 30% of produced energy is wasted in one way or another. And look for materials that make a more efficient use of energy. Galactic hybrid infrastructures will be capable to deliver solar power to the Earth and also to deliver lunar helium-3. Also, predictive superintelligence systems will calculate exact consumption at the exact moment, and then we'll foresee which is the power source needed at every moment, top of efficiency. Then we need to enhance investment in such kind of technologies to provide energy. Here is a graphic showing how the price of graphene used for efficient batteries, for the efficient electrical conductions, is behaving now. Okay, it has severely dropped the latest years, and once the production methods get improved, will drop down sufficiently to build the tether of the elevator, more efficient batteries, and more efficient cables. This is in the neighborhood to happen. I thank Mr. Adrian Nixon to permit me to use this graphic. Space elevators, according to the previous analysis, need to speed up all the rest of phases needed to put them in operation. And also bearing in mind that everything that is needed to improve this and to speed this is also the same technology needed to speed up the migration of fuel energy to efficient and clean energy. We also have to make several changes on education. Actually, lack of consciousness towards the future. Future and future foresight need to be implemented on educational system. This is proved by the previous analysis of how we are consuming things, for instance. I have also found people that I cannot explain that space will be reachable to anyone. When they listen to this, they turn my back. Don't believe me. But this will be somewhat possible in the future. The capabilities of elevators combined with space replicators, superintelligent robotics used for space migration purpose will speed up the construction of new homes, new industries in space. In the meanwhile, we need to be responsible about how we consume Earth resources and need to revert our behavior to recycle and sustainability. Also, if we think about superintelligence, evolution will be rampant and exponential. Are we foreseeing the educational curriculums, for instance, to be sure that a study initiated now will have place in the era of superintelligence, or will superintelligence will completely sweep human intelligence? It's the time to start thinking about this and designing this properly, so that people take education not useful in the future. And also, what would be future education without targeting space migration? Space education and actually K-12 curriculum is already designed for young people to live in a multi-planet future, but not widely implemented on schools. And also, space education properly orients people to properly live in a future with space migration and oriented to survival skills, oriented to team operating in team. So it's really suitable that space education enters on global education worldwide. I thank Dr. Mark Wagner for permitting me to use these sentences from his book, Space Education, that I really recommend to anyone interested on finding out more on the subject. This graphic shows quite well about human behavior evolution. And what I want to enhance now is that consciousness age, future consciousness, is the drive needed so that space age and space migration get successful and world gets united one day. Thank you so much, Professor Halal. This graphic is a jewel. I also want to explain a bit about a project that is a city devoted to test all what is needed for self-replicating communities. According to my job experience, both solar power systems and robotic systems are not only monitored physically, but also subjectively monitored. I mean, the satisfaction of users is monitored to see if they are comfortable with the system, what they would improve, what they think that is needed. Not only users, also technicians who build it. Then, before building self-replicating communities in space, they should be tested on Earth first, all the operation. And then make sure that a space community of such type can generate another copy of itself, but that this is economically cost effective and cost effective, really. Also needed to check the communication, distant communications among space communities. Also needed to check the communication with lunar bases and lunar settlements. Okay. Then also needed to test the human, the harmonic living between human behavior, superintelligent robotics, renewable power sources. This must be harmonic. First tested on Earth before building it in space. Of course, people that could come to such kind of simulator can be miscellaneous. Preferably in the first years of operation, technicians, skilled technicians in subject related, but finally, every sort of people. This is also a proposal about how to terraform the moon sustainably, starting by robotic replicators in the south pole of the moon. Okay, they will replicate factories, and as long as factories are replicated, they close rings with sintered regolith and covered as a bolt by an array of transparent solar cells that would protect from radiation, that would protect from meteorites, and would provide power to the inside. Then water can be obtained from lunar water and also obtained from asteroidal mining. This kind of ring would be used to track solar cells to the sun, also to provide electricity. Here, the rings would use also cold and hot materials from the illuminated side and the dark side of the moon to achieve thermal control of it. This is a proposal that would result in people living on the moon to find an environment, a natural environment, the most similar to the Earth to the possible. The fact that gravity is 1/8 of the Earth can be compensated by the climbers that could be docked on the lunar surface. Then, what is needed to undertake space migration and what is needed to revert globalization effects on Earth is the same. is the same thing. What makes a global justification to undertake space migration. And also permit me at this time to make a claim for peace. If we continue consuming the way we do and continue the tendencies we do on Earth without any corrections, present problems with peace will get aggravated. And then space migration sure has any solution for such kind of problem. For instance, the conflict in Israel and Palestine about the territory. What about if they investigate about to build self-replicating communities to have enough terrain for both? When replication technologies are completely known and operating, sure, they will build enough terrain for both. Also, the enormous potential of Russia used to space migration instead in our neighborhoods of technological exponential evolution. We'll have superintelligence very soon, predictive superintelligence very soon. Why not using such potential for space migration instead of continue fighting on Earth? Okay. Then peace. I don't see peace achievable in the world without space migration. That makes a total justification to undertake it. Here is a summary of justification. Okay. Space origin materials will be cheaper than Earth ones. Okay, the space will be reachable to everyone. Galactic hybrid infrastructures will deliver clean energy to the Earth. Space education is well oriented to a constructive future. Okay, there is no better terrain to use superintelligent entities, since human evolution has more chances of successful on the space community, and then curing globalization and peace. What else can we ask for? Okay, just to end the discussion, I want to say thanks to all these people who helped me in this presentation: Ms. Medina, Mr. Swan, Mr. Fitzgerald, Mr. Nixon, Mr. White, Dr. Wagner, Mr. Halal, and Mr. Moti. Thank you so much to every one of you. For more details on what I explained, you can have a look at my published articles and also my book, Basics of Futurism, Future Foresight. I have to say sorry at present time that English version is not available yet, but we will do all the impossible to have it available as soon as possible. And if you want to consult me about anything I have explained in the presentation, please do in this email address. I will be pleased to attend you. And thank you so much. Hope I have explained somewhat of your interest, and hope I have motivated you a bit more to undertake space migration. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you very much, Valentín. It was very interesting. If you could stop sharing your screen, that would be marvelous, and then we'll open the floor to questions.
Yeah.
So you can either, by all means, raise a hand via reactions, or wave at me in the screen, or and I'll bring you in, or put a question in the chat. So any questions, folks? And All very quiet.
Yeah.
Ah, Gerber, right. Could you unmute yourself, Gerber? Marvelous. Over to you, Gerber.
Thank you, Mark, and everybody down at West Midlands for making this possible. And Valentín, thank you very much. Muchas gracias for.
Thank you so much. Hope I have explained somewhat of your interest, and you like, yeah.
I liked it very much. I just wondered if you could say a bit more about what you mean by the transition to transhumanism. What is transhumanism?
Yeah, okay. Transhumanism is a complete evolution of human body to merge physically and mentally to superintelligence. The future will provide us. Are you listening to me? Sorry, I lost you.
I can hear you, Valentín.
I can hear you fine.
Okay. There will be, well, actually, there are some kind of small robots that can operate blood conducts, and also some, let's say, electronic devices that can be installed inside the human body. The milestones in nanotechnology will offer the possibility of direct curing with nanorobot illnesses. But also biotechnology will offer the possibility to replace human tissues. I mean, many, every time more and more parts of human body can be replaced, will be able to be replaced technologically. But human brain is a bit different because it's much more complex. Human brain, in order not to harm human brain when it is monitored, you will need a high level of nanotechnology. I mean, autonomous robots that can walk inside the brain without harming it. Then, at the time that brain activity can be monitored and understood and replicated, then this opens the possibility that human thought and human emotional way of acting joins physically superintelligence. Superintelligent entities will have a feature that human brains don't have. For instance, you and I cannot share physically our regards mentally because our brains are isolated. But all superintelligence entities can share through the internet, through network, their data. Then imagine the day when one human brain can directly connect superintelligence. It will quickly evolve. Okay, human body can be replaced technologically, nearly everything, and also human brain. So this makes a very huge evolution. A being having the capabilities of emotional human and superintelligence evolves to another kind of being. That is the transhuman being. Transhuman being is a being, or will be a being, one day, having joint capabilities of human and superintelligent, and I call this hyperintelligent being, transhuman being. Is it okay?
Well, thank you for the explanation. I noticed quite a lot of the dates that you mentioned in many of your slides are in the future. And of course, it's never possible to be 100%, but I'm very impressed that you take the very optimistic dates and thoughts about where this might lead. Normally, we tend to think everything's going to happen sooner than it actually does. But I just want to mention one example from Arthur C. Clarke, who is associated with the British Interplanetary Society for a very long time. In 1948, he published a book called Prelude to Space. And he put a date for the first humans on the moon 30 years in the future from that time, in 1978. But in practice, it was actually about 2 decades later.
Yeah.
So sometimes it can happen the other way around. But just one final thought. Again, I'm very impressed with your optimism. In your summary, you concluded that the reason, or one of the benefits, justification for space migration is peace. I wish that was true. I hope that will be true. But I think it's, from my experience of life here on Earth, it doesn't necessarily follow that we humans can be peaceful in space when we obviously haven't been able to achieve peace on a goal for a very long time here. So I'll just leave you with that thought if you have any comments. And once again, thank you very much for your presentation.
Yes, thank you. I want to say that peace, achieving for sure peace cannot be ensured, but we have a possibility with the space migration, and we don't have a possibility with the space migration. That is what I wanted to illustrate.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. Can I just read out a couple of, take the first question from the chat room. I can see you raising your hand, Alan. I'll just do some of the, we'll just do with the chat room ones first, if you don't mind. Mike S says, fascinating presentation. Thank you. Have these ideas been fed to any governments? And if so, what was their reaction, please? Over to you, Valentín.
Well, as far as I am concerned now, well, I don't know how many people, I have been requested for about this more times, people saying to me that, okay, this is okay, but people who has the government in hands are the people who should undertake this. Yeah, really. I have had, just until now, no reaction from people from any sort of government. Not yet, at least. I would be happy, really. But I tell my readers that what about if the number of conscious people about the future undertakes an exponential evolution? We will, let's say, suffer the effects of foreseeably, we will suffer the effects of many exponentials against us. For instance, uncontrolled superintelligence, escalating prices, escalating unemployment, escalating scarcity, and so. Then, space migration is, let's say, one positive exponential that we can use. Perhaps I'm optimistic. Yes, probably, but it is the subject of futurist writers. Try to instill a bit of optimism in a future, in a difficult future. We will suffer. No reaction for governments, but I try to instill also all my readers to to distribute the thought and try to create an exponential of future conscious people. This is, I believe, perhaps same need or most need than governments to take consciousness about this.
Thank you, Valentín. I've got two questions on a similar line from Keith Burrell. Question one, lack of pointer to leadership. Is this the UN government's billionaire private individuals stroke business? And then his second question, he's saying climate weather changes, storm strength, wind speed increases, including jet stream, etc., making space elevator a big engineering challenge, if not impossible for reliability. Would you like to comment on those two?
I'm sorry, I did not understood you well, the first question. Can you repeat,
sorry.
please?
It was a further to the similar sort of thing to Mike S.'s question. So Keith is asking about lack of pointer to leadership for your future this future ideas. Who's involved? Who are you suggesting? I think Keith, by all means, correct me if I've got this wrong. So he's saying UN, governments, billionaire, private individuals and businesses. Who would you expect to take leadership?
Okay, to tell you the truth, all I have explained about Space City and the way to terraform the moon, something like this, the status is actually ideas on a piece of paper. I have not discussed yet this with enterprises or governments or so. Okay. Yes, I have consulted space experts. I have consulted many sorts of experts about the subject I talk on the book. But who will undertake this? Who will put the money? Who will? I have no idea at the moment.
Okay.
And your second question?
Yes, the second question from Keith was to do with the engineering challenge of a space elevator. So whether weather challenges for a space elevator, and I would add to that, I personally would be a bit worried about the political dimension. Countries trying to wrest control of the elevator for their own benefit.
Wow. Difficult. My understanding about politics is very limited, really. Well, not so able to answer this question. Just I wanted to explain that this is engineeringly possible. Who will take control of elevators? Well, okay. All space projects I have spoken can be undertaken by enterprise governments and groups of nations, for instance, ISS did. But who will be conscious about what I have explained, and who will take the will to undertake this? I'm not able to answer. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I hope many can arise, but cannot precise who and when.
Thank you. Alan, would you like to unmute yourself and ask your question?
Yep. Yeah. Thanks, Valentín. Quite a very thought-provoking presentation. Just interested in the global population projections. I think on one of your slides you were projecting a global population of 20 billion by 2100. In a lot of countries, the concern is depopulation now, basically because of the change in demographics. A lot of countries now are progressing towards a much older population. And there was quite an interesting report about South Korea earlier on this week, talking about the demographic changes in South Korea. And it's basically, I think it said that the rate of reproduction had gone down from whatever it is, 2.5 children to less than one child per woman, which basically is not sustainable, doesn't sustain the population. And in a lot of developed economies in the world, the concern is depopulation more than overpopulation. Just wonder if you can comment on that.
Yeah, of course. First of all, I thought I mentioned already that I never intend to guess exact dates for events, rather to show tendencies. Trying to guess the exact population in 2100 involves many and many variables. Of course, as scarcity continues whipping, the politics of every country suffering it will change, sure. And also politics to accept migration. And we have to also consider the capabilities of future technologies, medical technologies and nanotechnology, capable to cure everything. And then even nanotechnology will be able to give therapies to stop aging and even revert aging. So many variables to make an exact guess estimating after 70 years. It's almost impossible. Of course, I have given dates in my presentation. For instance, when I speak about the evolution of computing, sounds like I have given exact dates, but these are my estimation according to the projection of what we are doing. Just my intention is making people aware about future consciousness rather than predicting. This is the way I have acted here. If that confuses a bit, I'm sorry.
Alex Wood, I can see you've got a question in the chat. Do you want to unmute yourself and ask your question of Valentín?
Hi. Yeah, which technical challenge are you most optimistic about, and which one are you least optimistic about?
Let me think of it. It's a great question. Well, what I would hope is to see as much, as soon as possible, the space city to be built and the first operational elevator. That is what myself I would like to see during this decade. And I know I asked for very much, but we'll see. I don't know. This is a global, I understand the future as a global project and as a whole entity from the beginning to the end. The beginning is investigating on Earth, simulating on Earth, investigating the elevator, and when the first elevator is operating, having things on Earth ready to be transported to planetary settlements. When planetary settlements continue or start to be built, Earth simulations must know all the processes to be transported to planetary settlements. It is a whole entity calculated decade by decade, year by year. Permit me, I would like to see everything. I don't renounce, I don't prefer one thing and release the other one. The future is one and I want it all.
Alex, how are you doing with that?
Well, yeah, Yeah, obviously, yes, you want everything, but in terms of how difficult you think each challenge is to overcome, and which one is not just technically possible or technically difficult, but also economically and politically.
Yeah.
I was just wondering if you had more optimism about overcoming some of those challenges than others.
Okay, to tell you something more about this, robotic operations for welding, grasping, and so are already known. This is a knowledge to be transported to planetary settlements. The way that solar arrays behave, same. Even there are already investigations about making solar cells with lunar simulated materials. Sounds like graphene needs an additional push to diminish the cost because all the other engineering of elevator are things already known and engineerically have to be validated, tested, and so. I hope that graphene receives the needed push to impulse all this development. And from this time on, I believe that things will be easier.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Can I ask a question, Valentín? Have you considered the effect of space elevators or the use of space elevators, say, on the moon and Mars? With for instance, the moon has a much lower gravity, no atmosphere, so it would make the construction and operation of an initial space elevator much easier. Admittedly, we don't have the infrastructure to do it, but
Yeah.
it would be a lot easier to get the experience of building and operating an elevator on somewhere like the moon and helping us establish an Earth-Moon infrastructure there than trying to build it on Earth. Have you looked at that sort of stuff?
Well, the fact that an elevator can be used for Mars transportation is very attractive. For instance, because one can schedule daily departures, same to the moon, and so the reverse trip. Well, the fact that the moon has a low gravity without gases and so can make possible thinking on a low-cost lift from its surface. But a space elevator is also very attractive. Note, I want to show you. Permit me. I want to show a presentation from ISEC, Space Elevator Consortium. You can see here that all the cargo sent during space history will be only 1/10 of the expected cargo to be sent by one elevator in 1 year. Then transporting this capability to the moon is really attractive as well. Consider also that lunar cargo, useful lunar cargo, is 2% of what can be launched today. But in a space elevator era, that will be 70%. The reverse operation is also attractive.
We have a third question from Keith Burrell. I'll read it out. Superintelligence in dealing with humanity's future may not accept the need for space migration unless it is built in as a formal priority ambition to be achieved. Otherwise, the superintelligence may disagree and come to a different logical conclusion for humanity and work against space migration. So it's, I think it's a comment as well as a question.
Well, there is something I would like to say about this. Note that superintelligence will have it available around 10 years, approximately. And one of the purposes of a space city is testing the relationship human superintelligence, but also considering that distant space communities will have their own level of development of superintelligence that will also interact among them. As Professor Bostrom says in his book, Superintelligent, humans, we as humans, have the advantage to make the first shot. And then we have the possibility to test different degrees of development of superintelligence in our simulators before deciding to implement them in space. That will give us more security before doing that in space.
Thank you, Valentín. Any more questions?
I did want to just make a final comment, if I may, Mark. I was really impressed with the Valentíns, and I think whenever you make predictions, it's very risky. But the important thing is, Valentín, that you have taken the time to put your thoughts in the book, and I look forward to the English version. And despite my lack of optimism, I think space does have a role for peace, or at least for promoting peace between us. And I'm thinking particularly right now, you use the example of the conflict in Israel right now and relating it to the future in space. Right now, despite the conflicts here on Earth, the USA and Russia are collaborating on the International Space Station. So yes, I agree with you. Space has a great potential for promoting peace within our human species. So once again, thank you very much for your talk.
Thank you so much for your comments. I'm really grateful. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you very much for a very thought-provoking talk, Valentín. Excellent.
Thank you for the British Interplanetary Society for this opportunity. Thank you so much, really.
No, it's a pleasure, and hope to see you in future.
Okay. Come with me whenever you want.
Thank you. Thanks very much, everybody.